There we go. All right, we're going to be recording this, and it will be posted for public viewing. Does anybody have a problem with that? If you do, please say so. If not, we'll assume that you are good with it. If you ever have a problem, let us know, because we would probably pull it down because we don't want to bug anybody. That's the deal. Today, I thought what we would talk about is the second half and probably the final half of the funding. Last time when we were on, we covered, the most common ways that everybody jumps into funding. To kind of get us started, I will tell you that since running alternative peer group programs, I have had every different kind of funding that I know of. There may be something I don't know of. If it is, I don't know what it is. I have been funded, I've had these things funded by government funds, grants from foundations and funds. I have had profit-making, nonprofit. I have had school with the school elements. I've had charter schools where funding, was from the school districts. I've had sliding scale. I've had insurance pay. I've had insurance not pay, Medicaid. I guess I've never actually taken Medicare. I don't think I've ever taken Medicare. I've never had any funding come from Medicare. So all of these different directions. Also, I will tell you that I've run programs that have been under great assault at times, who have lost funding, every different kind of funding, and have had them survive. So the whole point to this conversation is to try and help you guys think through some things that maybe you haven't thought through to help you survive, because in your program, stuff's going to happen. It is definitely going to happen. So how is everybody doing right now? What's, who is going through what? And I'm going to, and please don't answer that unless you're willing to go ahead and answer questions after that, because I'm going to ask you some after that. Okay. All right. Anybody want to volunteer? You're on.
I'm in it.
You're in.
We are deep in it. So we are in our, let's see, we opened doors February 1st. We're heading into our 4th month. We had a fantastic fundraiser over the holidays that we called the 12 Days of Recovery, which brought in about $12,000, and it helped us with our startup costs. And now our coffers have just run dry. We have one donor who is the parent of one of our participants, one of our teens, and she happens to work at the Gates Foundation, and the Gates Foundation triples every donation of their employees. So she donates $1,000 a month to us. So we end up with $4,000. I recognize that we right now have a lot of dependence on that, and that's not a good place to be, because she can only donate so much in a year. So in October, if she continues to donate every month, in October she'll run out of the available funds to do so. So that's the only that, and then my parents send $100 a month, and James's parents send $100 a month. So we are we're in the thick of it, figuring out what our fundraising plan is. I've been looking at hiring someone who does this professionally to create a plan for us that then we can actionize. And yesterday we have a campaign here in Washington State called the Give Big. It's Give Big Day today, and that is where everyone in our communities are encouraged to dig deep and give money to their favorite charities. So we've got a social media campaign that we've been reaching out to previous donors. So far that has raised, as of this morning, $1,400, but today we should get some more on that, some more traction. We also have someone who is researching and starting to apply for grants. I've got the idea of billing Medicaid because peer support is now billable through Medicaid, although I don't know that we have more than maybe 2 participants who are currently on Medicaid. Yeah, and we're doing a garage sale. So another big community event here in Northwest Seattle is the Finneywood Garage Sale Day, and it's where everyone in the community has a garage sale. Everyone gets out, walks through the neighborhoods from one garage sale to the next. It's a really fun event, and it happens to be hosted by the organization that we currently rent space from, the Finney Neighborhood Association. And so they're allowing us to use their parking lot. So we're gonna have this huge space. We're encouraging all the families to clean out their closets and come volunteer to help out on the day of. And I actually think that might make us more money than this Give Big campaign, but we're scrambling and getting scrappy. And I don't want to stay in this mode. I recognize that like we need a plan and we need
Okay.
someone who can actionize it that's not me.
All right. The things you're doing are all great things, and you are varied in some of your income streams. Well, again, guys, let me say this again. One of the secrets to longevity of a program is having multiple income streams. If you get just one thing, you're setting yourself up. Of the things you have going, all of them are great things. They've been done before and tried and everything. And you're starting also to investigate and think in the right direction with your Medicaid idea. All right. If you take your Medicaid idea and you expand it some, okay. I see, if you're going to charge Medicaid, you're going to have to charge them for something. You don't, you got to send in a bill for them to pay it whenever they pay it. And there's a cash flow issue there, by the way. What are you going to charge them for?
Well, I think it would be, so we're requiring all of our staff to go through Washington State Certified Peer Counselor training. And that allows you to be billable with Medicaid. And so I think it would be the one-on-one coaching sessions that our staff are doing with individuals.
Right. Okay. You're going to also run up against, if you charge Medicaid, they're going to want to know what you're charging other people. Okay. So you're going to have to take that idea and expand it across the board to all of your clients, not just you can't just have something just for people who have Medicaid and not charge for the same thing for other people, or have some sort of approach that validates that. Okay. The approach that you probably are going to want to pick up is sliding scale. You don't have to. I'm not saying, but I know kind of how you guys are thinking and how you're operating, how you're moving. And I know you're not wanting to turn anybody away for lack of money. So sliding scale is the way to go with it. All right. If you're going to charge for that peer time with Medicaid, you can also charge on a sliding scale for the peer time with your other folks too. Okay. And it will create an income stream. You add that, y'all are nonprofit, is that right?
Actually, Bridges is for profit, and then we have a sister nonprofit that funnels money to us to help. They actually, so we have a set participation fee, and the sliding scale is that the nonprofit makes up for the difference between what the family can afford to pay and what the actual fee is.
Okay. Another, that's a good way to go at it. Are they making you qualify the nonprofit, the sliding scale?
Yeah, so we do have families fill out a very simple form asking a few questions about income, and then they make the determination from there.
All right. Your next point then in all of this, another thing that you can look into doing is, okay, so far you're just talking about the one-on-one peer time. Okay. And I don't know everything about what y'all got going on. I have some input and I hear things different places and stuff like that. You may have heard it mentioned, we have used some specialized groups at times, but we don't ever make up something just to bring in money. What we do is once you get just the basics going, you know, you got your meetings, you got your family meetings, you got your activities, and you got some input coming on, you know, on a day-to-day basis, kind of individual peer counseling or whatever. Well, you probably have seen other clinical needs of your clients. Things like sometimes there's siblings. You know, I don't know exactly how you're populated, but there are siblings in the home. All right. Things like in the early days, families need more than it later on. In the early days, the parents, you know, if you're doing adolescents, parents need a whole lot of input, you know. And we in history, there have been times when there's the parent meetings that are going on. In fact, I was just talking with somebody that came in to APGs before I did. She came in 1973. You know, I was just on the phone with her when we came on here, and she was talking about in the early days. It was in PDAP in Houston. In her early days, the parents all went to six special groups. You know, you have heard of it called contact or climbers group is another name we used later on. And the young people went to six, they called them newcomers groups. Then we have in history called them contact. So we had contact and climbers. Both of those had sliding scale. Within the sliding scale, they had costs to them. All right. They were needed by the people, you know, but we weren't going to turn them away for not being able to cover it. And it gave something for our nonprofit element also to back up when we had a nonprofit paired with a profit making. Okay. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is when you see a need, new needs, once you've gotten basically going, when you see a new need, create something to answer that need. Let the need and answering the need lead, but also remember you're going to have to pay for it and hopefully create some income that can be spread over other things that are not directly chargeable. So when I did my prices on contact and climbers, obviously there was more income than it cost to absolutely pay just the staff member and the overhead.
Sorry.
Did everybody see that butt?
That did not represent my feelings about what you're saying.
I'm sorry. The little boy in me went crazy with that. Look,
Cat
it's
butt.
a butt. It's a cat butt in my head. I have no idea what I was saying.
Sorry. You're talking about the cost of contacts and climbers.
You charge enough to cover the direct costs, but also to cover what it's going to cost for that person who's running that contact group to talk to whoever's facilitating the weekly meetings, to whoever is, you know, case managing, all of that kind of thing, so that it spreads some of that overhead. Also, there's the room that they meet in, the air conditioning, you know, that kind of stuff. So that's a direction. I don't know specifically what you do or don't have, but whatever you don't have, look at starting. And that's what I guess I'm saying to you.
Well, I have questions about that because we are just creating a new structure for our teen program because we had graduation requirements, but like nobody was focused on them. We weren't talking about them. And we have teens who entered into our program already having some of them 2 years sober. And they're like, why do I have to like go by all these group rules when I've proven myself, I've earned my trust back. And so we've created the system of phases. And so when they first come in, they're going to be at a certain phase with a certain amount of requirements. It's you hit every APG offering, if no unexcused absences. We have eyes on you. You have to check in with us when your parent picks you up. And then as you earn trust and you get some sobriety under your belt, you move into phase 2. And then we're starting to talk about getting a sponsor and a home group and starting to talk about community recovery and so on until phase 3 when they're like preparing to graduate and moving almost exclusively to community meetings and just APG once a week, and then graduating and coming back and volunteering. So I'm wondering, as you're talking, because we also have what we call, your context and climbers, we call pillars groups. And that's where it's the newcomers and we're going through, you know, the basics of recovery. And so I'm thinking, as you're talking, like we could have price levels for what phase the kids are in, because it does reduce the number of services. When they first come in, it's really intensive.
Yeah.
Like we just had a kid come back from treatment and our youth facilitator was on the phone with him 2 to 3 times a day,
Oh, yeah.
helping him navigate the return from home. His parents had split up while he was gone, so he was now in 2 different households. It was a total shit show.
Yeah.
Same thing for the parents. Robin was on the phone with them multiple times a day, helping them navigate. And so I see that there's a lot more services at the front end when they first come in. And so that does justify a larger bill. And then as we kind of get down to where they're just coming once a week, they're about to graduate, like we could see phase 3 is, you know, half of what phase 1 is or something.
Yeah.
And charging, then you can build into that phase 1, like that's when they're doing pillars group. So you really got me thinking.
That is exactly what we're doing in the adult build right now, the adult program build. That's exactly what we're doing. We have an amount for an hour of, and that's hour of texting, phone calls, or face-to-face. Doesn't make any difference. Any kind of individual attention that's going towards the case, it has an hourly charge. Then there is a monthly charge for all the meetings for everybody. It's, you know, for the family, there's a monthly charge. As the time drops off that they need from us, it ends up that there's only the meeting charge. And even there, we stop that down the road. All right. What we're missing is the nonprofit elements. We don't have one right now. When I said the adult build, that's part of what we're looking at is, okay, how do we take advantage of some of the nonprofit sides of things, and so we can expand services, et cetera, that kind of stuff. But those are ideas. That's exactly what in my opinion, you're doing exactly what you need to be doing. All right. Go ahead. One of the things though that I have to tell you that will stop us all is, how do I say this? We get to where we're planning too big of stuff too long, instead of just getting things going and adjusting and moving ahead. You know, it's really, I get so, well, I need to do this, and oh God, I'm awful about it, you know, and somebody will slap me and say, just start the contact group, just start the contact group. You know what I mean? And I started, no, like, oh, then everything falls into place. So when you start nailing these things, be careful not to get caught in that planning forever kind of thing. And I'm not saying planning's not important, it is, but I'm just saying we can get to planning and not quite do. Hey, Sean, what's happening? Have you got a new hairdo?
No, it's just raining.
You just had it behind you. There you go.
Oh, I just had it behind me.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Well, I was going to tell you, I like your new hairdo. You haven't got a new hairdo, so whatever.
Yeah, it was just the same. Didn't get my hair did.
Fine. All right. Other situations. Hannah, did you have lunch while you were blocked out?
No, not yet.
You didn't? Are you going to block out when it comes time? Is that what we're getting ready to do?
I'm waiting until 1 today, John. You're lucky.
Did Hannah get her haircut?
Hannah, did you get your haircut?
Yep.
Looks nice.
Where's your hair?
I chopped it off this weekend.
You did?
I thought it was behind you. I thought you had yours behind your back. Oh, mama, look at that. Okay, looky. That's cute. I like that. That's neat.
It'll be good for summer, I think. I hope.
Huh? What'd you say?
I think it'll be good for summer to have less hair.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk to the folks who are heavily funded by the state. All right, by government funding. You two guys, you two guys. What's
I think
happening?
that's us, Hannah. I think he's talking to us.
I am.
Yeah, we would be, yes. So, we were just talking today in a meeting with Heidi just about next steps and where we can go from here to sustain. It's hard because we're just growing them,
Mhm.
just getting them going, but then we're trying to figure out how else we can look for grants and other opportunities. We haven't explored corporate grants. We're not people, I don't think, well, Bob does he do fundraisers?
I don't think so. I can't say that for sure though.
I know he's always looking for grants, but I don't know what fundraisers he's done.
All right.
Sure.
Did y'all hear Bridges, doing their Give Day and the and the what are they doing? The garage sale
Garage
sale.
on all that. Do y'all do any of those kinds of things?
No, one of our in Portsmouth, one of our the alternative high school definitely does a big garage sale every year to raise money for their alt school. But I don't know. It's hard. We're so new, so I don't know what the programs have done. We definitely don't have like a Give Big Day. I don't think we have one of those. I don't think we're as progressive as Seattle. Not in New Hampshire, not New Hampshire yet.
Well, catch up. Have a big Give Day.
Yeah.
Do something.
Yeah. We'll try.
The thing is, it really is, it's all about do something. All right. And I will tell you that your families, you have parents that are involved, that some of them, this is right down their alley. They can't wait to help bring in funds and those kind of things. Some of them can't wait, and you wish they would wait, but some of them are perfect for this kind of thing. And we found this for parents of adolescents, those who get involved, it is a good vehicle for them to dig in deeper into the recovery process. It provides opportunities for them to talk to each other and all sorts of stuff. Going to the garage sale. We did garage sales for decades, all right? And the kinds of dollars that were having to be raised were far beyond what any garage sale could ever produce. We kept doing them because of the social elements that went down. The opportunity to build the community, all right? And yes, it did create some, and it was all of the little streams of income that added up to overall what we need. While I'm thinking about this is for everybody. Y'all do realize that there's a huge amount of money supposedly coming out of the federal government and dropping into the states, all right? If you don't have somebody plugged into some workshop somewhere, NADAC is getting ready to put one in on how to get a piece of that money. That's one of the things to do.
Yeah, well, no, we want a piece of that pie.
Yeah, everybody, all you guys, take a piece, because a lot of it is for community programs. You all qualify for that. You want to know, how do we access some of this funding? Because you guys will do a better job of using that funding than anybody else. I'm just going to say it. All right. You are the ones that's approaching it 18 months to 4 years, not 30, 60, 90 days. And I hope you do okay. All that kind of crap. So find a way to get educated on how to do that. Get somebody that is looking for it. A place to begin, as I said, is NADAC. SAMHSA, is a big element in all of this. Did y'all know that there's more money than ever in history getting ready to drop at the state level?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay, good. But it's one thing for it to drop. It's another thing to get it. And it's going to require,
that's right.
It's going to require.
Figure out whose hands it's going to drop into.
That's right. And how to get those hands to aim it.
Luckily, New Hampshire's small, so.
Amen to that. Texas.
Yeah. Texas, good luck. I do have a couple of things. one of our APGs is trying the Medicaid route, because we do have a lot of youth on Medicaid. And right now they're just fighting with them a little bit, but they can bill group recovery and individual recovery.
Right.
So they're trying that route. And then also one group is struggling with their parents. They all want to meet with Bob's wife, Linda, individually, but they don't want to make a group. They don't want to form a group. I think the stigma, they'll talk about their child, but they don't want to talk about it in group because New Hampshire is a small state, that they don't want other people to know that their child is in treatment or recovery.
Right.
Thank you again for the butt.
We got cat butt. I can't wait to post this. When I do the description for this video, I'm going to put in there, and serious cat porn.
Starring, that's Mateo. Make sure he gets
That's
billed.
Mateo.
He needs credit
Okay.
for that.
Yeah, he gets credit for it.
That's so funny. I swear.
Mm.
Oh.
So
All right. You got,
we'd love to have the
and
parents,
the parents
form
don't
together,
want to do group stuff.
and then we want them to form a group so then they can help, organize a garage sale and do family stuff.
Right.
But they're so hesitant. They don't want to do it. They keep saying
How
no.
many parents are we talking about in that group, by the way?
How many kids do they have right now? They have 7 kids right now, and they have 2 referrals coming. They usually have around 9.
All right. Are
So
all of the parents not wanting to come to group, or just a bunch of them?
they haven't had any that said that they want to do a group.
Okay.
They only want to meet with Linda individually, the parents.
The Linda is actually the key to this.
Okay.
Right? She is the one who has to take 1 or 2 of them, and the ones that are least, in my opinion, this is how I would do it. If I have all the, I may not have all the information, but given the information that you just gave me, there's probably 2 or 3 parents who are less resistant than the others. All right. And you're a therapist, you're a counselor, you know what I'm talking about. So you take the less resistance and you create the little core, and then it becomes the cool thing. And the others will slowly come along.
All
You
right.
have to consciously kind of lay this out in your head that that's what you're going to do, though. It does just expect it to evolve. That's what the Association of Alternative Peer Group Programs is all about. These things don't just evolve.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they do, it'll take you 10 years to get to where we were 30 years ago. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a specific plan. So I would address that directly. How do we get them? Who are your least resistant family? Start a little group with them. Just a little bunch, just a little group. Come up with a reason. There are reasons. You guys have a very similar situation than the Smiths over here. I think I could work with all of y'all better, than by yourselves, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
y'all already know that you and the Smiths already know you're here. So whatever that kind of, but fine. And I'm giving examples.
Gotta sell it.
Ways, but consciously address it.
Mm-hmm.
Consciously set up a plan and address it. Let the therapist use it. The Medicaid thing. Okay, real quick, let me talk to you about that.
Okay.
1997, Lifeway had the largest Medicaid program in Texas. This is before managed care took over Medicaid. You couldn't touch it for 20 years. One of the things, and this also has to do with funding, keeping with our topic, there is cash flow funding, and then there are services funding. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In those days, it was like magic. I'd love to tell you that I thought this up. I did not. It's a guy who's not with us anymore. A fellow named John Gordon was my best friend. He was brilliant. The dude was brilliant. And he came up with this idea, and it was incredible what happened. A lot of the low socioeconomic areas in Houston, Texas, Austin, Dallas, all over Texas were apartment complexes. Okay. And there were hundreds of families in the apartment complexes, and each complex had a group room, you know, an activities area. Usually
Yeah.
these places were boarded up because they ended up getting used as places to deal dope and, you know, prostitution and all sorts of stuff. So most of the the complexes had boarded those things up. John would go in and talk to the ownership at the apartment complex. And he would say, if you will let us use that complex, we will build a community type center to start to work with some of these things. And we got them
Mhm.
licensed and the whole deal. Okay. Because the program had to be in a licensed facility. All right. So they said, yeah, they gave us the space. We would go in, and it would start off, we would call a family, you know, a community family meeting. And here's the brilliance. We served pizza. And we told them we were going to serve pizza. And we had lots of parents show up for
Yeah.
it. And then we told them what we were going to be doing. You know, we did things like we brought in, they didn't have video games. I wish they'd had video games back then, but we brought in like pinball machines and the like Space Invaders and that kind of stuff. And we had those things in there, and they were free. I'm telling you guys, we turned apartment complexes totally. You would go in before we started, and you had to hide to get past the prostitutes and the dope dealers going into the area. 3 months later, there was nobody. There was nothing like that around. It was not good for them. They left, you know, and we had bagillions of kids. I mean, bagillions. Then we started an educational. We would do tutoring with the young people, you know, and just the whole thing. It was amazing, amazing. All right.
Sounds it.
So you got funding coming from the facility was given to us, you know. We didn't even have to pay electricity. The apartment complex was so thrilled over things turning around. They gave it, you know, they provided electricity and everything else. Look for those funding elements too. How do we get things without having to raise cash? The access to Medicaid clients was huge. I mean, there was, you know, almost everybody there was on Medicaid. And we would charge for the groups and the individuals with the young people, but we would charge some for the families, but not a lot. But we kept combined. We had clinical activities. We also had just the APG meeting elements, you know, the fun stuff, all of that kind of.
Yeah.
We took them on. We had vans, and we could take them, you know, out and do things with them. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. I haven't inspected close up how the new Medicaid funding is going on how it would apply to something like that. And I'm not saying this is the only way to do it. I'm saying get creative, look around, you know, and there are amazing things that happen. Okay. Can I
Yeah.
get y'all to hold for just 1 second? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Be right back. Y'all talk amongst yourselves.
Are we all on hold? Are we all on hold?
Yeah, I
We're
think
not
John
talking
had
amongst yourselves.
Oh, okay.
do you think that'll help any? And don't worry about hurting my feelings if you don't think it will, Hannah and Sean.
Yeah, John, one of the things is right up the alley, what you said is what Bill and I have going on here with our sober living. And when we're meeting the challenge of family, because our belief, in recovery from where we're coming from, for the healing process, the families have to be a part of that, or that's a great part of what we do. What we have had success with before COVID is we had one time each week that was a group meeting. And in that group meeting, it was family day where that would be the visitation that you could come to meet with the family group. And we set out a buffet. And so this is your 1 hour group visitation where you meet the other clients' families, you meet the other clients that Billy's talking to. And then we had a sit down. Then we'd have our breakout weekly recap meeting at the end of that. Well, the parents would go off to one room. It's just natural. And the clients go to the other room to do theirs. And then we have the separate facilitator. Well, as benign as that approach took, we got to where between the two sober houses that we run, we would have 15 to 18 clients a week, okay, living there. But our family and alumni group would have 40 people there enjoying the food, meeting friends. And of course, that was our MO. That was our MO, is to get the family groups together. Now, what we've tried to branch out and what we're trying to do now is charge for that, because we're at a break even. We're a nonprofit without wanting to be one. Okay. But it's based on clients. And first of all, getting clients, and then making sure that the sliding scale that you mentioned has to work, I think, in any group, unless you're in a super large community and just have overrun with clients, because it's all about recovery and about the people that are willing. You need to have them in your program. And so our scale right now is actually, I have someone that pays $200 a month, people that pay $1,800 a month. The average is 12. And just put that in there. Now, in order to get to the next level to include the families, trying to branch that off and actually have the meeting on Sunday is free. And then if they want individual time, have an hourly fee for service during the week to set up a Zoom, to set up a private meeting. So
That's having a lot of different income streams is a really important thing. And that's what you're talking about. By the way, the birth of what was called the Sober Live-In Center, the SLIC approach, that was started by a guy named Bob Meehan out in San Diego, long time ago, 1980, around 1980, 81, 82. It actually was a combination of, there was the sober living, right, and it was combined with the APG element and but he also had IOP. All right. And it's very similar to what happens right now when you combine sober living with, partial hospital, that kind of thing. And it provided, not only did it provide a level of care and accountability and some support for people in early recovery that was very difficult to get without going into a treatment program at the time, what we call treatment program. Now, they had been done some before. There were houses, Oxford House goes way back. There was Texas House in Houston. PADAP had its own houses also, both adolescent and young adults. And all of those things, each one of those things were put together with a certain financial plan, like you just described, Tim. And that plan created enough not only to cover the expenses of what was being done, but other affiliated expenses. And that can range everywhere from just making sure that you have the APG meetings out there all over town or however you set it up. And they actually have no charge. So, I have done lots of times where the APG meetings, no charge for anybody. And that there's some real pluses to that because they are great at reaching out to the community. And sometimes you'll have somebody there who at that sliding scale level can't pay a dime. But guess what? About 2 weeks later, they talk to a friend of theirs who owns the Dallas Times Herald, and has a kid who's suffering, and they come in and he not only can he handle what they're costing, but he can also lead to other funding resources. So it's a situation, not to sound mushy, but it's a situation where if you just love folks, you just reach out and you love people and you really let that drive things and keep open and to try new things and just make it happen, and then work out some of those details as you get into it, as you move along. It all comes back and it'll hold you over and it'll take care of things. Y'all, Frank just joined. I'm sorry. I tried to talk him out of it, but here he is, whatever. Trying to think, there was something.
What's up, Frank?
How you doing?
Good,
How
man.
you doing?
Mike.
You doing okay? Good. There was something that hit me a second ago I wanted to touch on. Oh. In bringing in more and more people, I want to hit this again. We talk about it and we talk about it and we talk about it. Y'all remember talent-based hiring. Talent-based hiring. You know when you do it because you have new people coming in and staying. You know when you have missed because that doesn't happen, right? So if it's not happening, something needs to be done with the staffing. That doesn't mean that the person, sometimes it's a matter of having the wrong person, the talent that they have is not right for the position they're in, then they need to be moved to a different position, that kind of thing. It is very difficult because all of us are compassionate people, and this will affect your finances massively if you don't address this. Your funding, you cannot fund a program that isn't using talent-based hiring very long because you won't have any people. Nobody will stay. Nobody will want to come. They'll leave. You can't get anybody to do anything once they get there, all those kind of things. So a very, very critical element to funding is, in fact, admitting what is and what isn't working and then fixing it. The problem we all have is we're all compassionate, loving, giving people, and we hate to, hurt anybody's feelings. And then also there are all sorts of political things that start to build up around a program, especially if there's federal and state funding or funding from private or public grants. And it's just all sorts of stuff you have to struggle. But I am telling you, find a way, keeping all of that in mind, to answer the talent-based hiring realities. If you don't, if you do make it, won't make any difference because nobody will get well. Okay. What else? Who else? Divine Trust. Larissa, talk to us a little bit down there.
Hello, how is everybody doing today?
We're doing good.
Awesome. Bye guys. Sorry, I'm just walking out of something. Hi. So we are super excited. There are so many things happening and very quickly. You're welcome, Nice Manners. Have a great day. Sorry, as you can see, I'm out in public. So we are, believe it or not, on track, I believe, to, on a very tiny level, open up a sober school here in Raleigh that will be free, and that will be Christian. And we're joining forces with the Raleigh Dream Center to get this done. I wrote out an entire business plan that I'm happy to share with folks, although I'm not going to lie and tell you that it's any good. And what we're really, our big question right now that I would love for anyone to offer feedback is Andrew, the founder of the ministry, feels very, very passionately that there should be a residential piece because he wants to remove these kids from their home environment. And I love that. But I also am kind of like, okay, you know, we got to climb out of the ivory tower. The first year, we're just trying to build and establish. And we might not get our druthers. And so I'm just curious if I could get some feedback from y'all on how terrible would it be if A, the first year there was not a residential component, and B, if we started out with, say, just seniors or just juniors and seniors. You know, normally when new schools open, they start with freshmen and then they add sophomores, but we're thinking about going backwards. So anybody with any opinions, I'm wide open with my ears.
I'm curious to hear this part too. I mean, we're an APG, not a school, but we have many situations where we feel really frustrated that we don't have somewhere for our kids to go when their home situation is not a good situation. And I have this dream of buying a farm outside of Seattle somewhere where we can ship the kids off when they just need to get the hell out of here and away from everything that contributes to their use. So I get it. And I'm
John,
just curious what others have to say.
Thank you. John, did Three Oaks Academy have a residential component, and does Archway Academy have a residential component?
The both of those have, Three Oaks had, at that time, had a couple of residential, one was treatment oriented, and the other, though, they had a system of what they called guide houses, all right? And these were because that we didn't want to get into the full-blown sober living for adolescents at the time. We had guide houses, and they were different families that had been around a while and seemed to really have a good grasp of what was going on. And a young person might go stay at another house for a while, somebody else's house. I want to tell you all that there are a lot of moving parts in these kind of things, and a lot of things to be very careful of. All right. I don't want to scare you, but I want to make you aware. Your need for this is very, very common. All right. In fact, that thing I mentioned a second ago, the Sober Live-In Center, was actually born out of that need. That was what was going on. It was not the first time. The girls' houses and the guys' houses in Padat back in the 70s, same kind of thing. It is a real need, and you should address it. I will give you the easiest and quickest and safest way to address it, that at least in Texas right now. And it's not easy, but it is the easiest, all right? What you do is you put together a foster care home, foster home, all right? And you go through that realm. You talk about exactly what it is. It's not residential treatment. It is a place for them. And there are two kinds in Texas. There's a foster home, and that's one family, you know what I mean, that kind of takes care of some people. Then there's a thing called a foster group home. And a foster group home was very similar to what the sober live-in centers were back in the day. If you go to, and now I don't know what exactly your state does, but there's the unofficial thing of, hey, maybe little Johnny needs to go stay with this other family for a while. And it can become where that is a kind of a standard way of doing things. I know APGs that do that still to this day. There are some scary things into that. If little Johnny goes somewhere and gets hurt or gets abused or says he got hurt or says he got abused, you know, that can happen also. All right. So you have to be careful. You have to be really careful with all of this, but do something. Do something, you know. The safest thing to do, again, if you're talking about, you know, protecting everybody in the program and everything else, is look into this foster group home thing. And maybe as an interim, look into a foster home process that's, you know, run by something else beside, well, let me put it this way. Something else is responsible for it besides you. Because if you're responsible for it, that's where you have to be very careful. Does that help a little bit?
John Cates, I need to make something abundantly clear. Are you ready?
Yes.
You are a rock star.
Oh, yeah. Except I don't, my hair's goofy though. If my hair was just cooler. That's really nice. I appreciate you saying that. Oh my gosh, it's 11:57. Guys, I have a staff meeting in 3 minutes and I'm going to have to do it driving because I have a lunch at 1. I love you guys. Frank, glad you joined. Listen, Frank has a lot of experience with all of this, by the way, and later on he will be sharing a bunch of it. You guys, don't hesitate to call me if I don't have an answer. There's a whole group here who does have answers. They have answers. There's lots and lots of people who aren't even on this thing, but just shoot us a call. I love you guys.
Love you.
And oh, Frank, were you here for the butt porn?
I missed it.
Did you miss it? You'll have to go and catch the recording. I'm going to post this. We post these recordings on the APG site, and we had a couple of porn incidents today. You'll have to catch it.
That was not what I was expecting to
I
hear.
know, neither was
Yeah,
I.
right?
But we got it. You wait. You'll have to go to the site to see it though. I love you
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.